Hey, and welcome back to your Chromatic pre-training. This next video is taken from the Chromatic Level 1 online training. And the training, we're just gonna have to do something a little bit different. At the end of this, all you're gonna need to do is create 3 sequences, and these 3 sequences you're gonna bring to the in-person training. And when you bring them into the in-person training, we're gonna review them. And of course, by the time you get to the training, you'll probably have gotten better and better. So those of you that are flying to the training or driving or whatever, you might be thinking about ways in which you could improve them. That's all good. You can change them when you get here and everything. And we're going to share them with each other. And we're going to then, as we get better and better at sequencing, make decisions, alter them, and share them together as a group. So each of us now have a collection of a bunch of sequences, and I would love for you to print them out as well. That would be really helpful. But you could also have a digital copy of them to share via AirDrop if you have an iPhone, or we can use a Google Drive or something like this to share across Android phones as well. Okay, so let's get into that video. Okay, welcome back to sequencing. Thank you for watching the video on learning how to use the 5 layering postures for a target stretch towards your peak pose. Now, your job is to come up with 3 sequences, and each with a different peak posture and a different target stretch with 5 layering poses, 5 to 7 layering poses. If you can come up with 7, please do, that'd be great. If you only come up with 5, that's also cool. 5 is the minimum. That'll get you a really good, solid class. But usually with target stretch, 7 is totally accessible. And so I'd like you to come up with 3 different sequences. If this proves to be easy for you, come up with more. If it proves to be challenging, then you can, of course, go over the same sequence a number of times and see if you can refine it so that you can get really better at it. The more sequences you come up with for a target stretch, though at the 300-hour level, this should be fairly easy, I would say, but the terminology and the mindset of this kind of structure might be new to you. So that being said, it might pose a few challenges, okay? So if it is challenging, there's no big deal. We're just trying to get the structure into your head, and it'll take a little time. Once the structure is down, going on to the next level for chromatic yoga, when we'll go on to peak action and peak engagements, then this will stay, will always remain with the target stretch. We'll just move it over, it'll be over here, and then we'll have another column of strengthening postures. Okay, so your target stretch, your submissions should look something like this. It's cool if you want to be an overachiever, you can do 2 target stretches towards the same peak pose. That's fine as well. Then you'd have 2 columns of target stretches. But make sure here's how I don't want you to go about this. I don't want you to just think about all the muscles that need to be stretched, and so you're going to put in a whole bunch of columns, okay? It's not about overdoing it. It's about keeping it simplified and getting your mind to focus in on one thing. So 2 columns would be the max. I would love it if you did 1 column, but of course there are some peak postures that really do require 2 major muscle groups to be stretched. I mean, every peak posture really needs more than 1 or 2, whatever, but I'd like you to really, again, harness your mind on one thing, and that's what's gonna make you a really skillful teacher, especially when it comes towards peak actions. You can't give everybody everything every class, okay? That's one of the learnings that I had to really get through especially as a really anatomy geek and somebody who's really like into the physical postures. The challenge for me in the beginning with all the alignment, all the anatomy knowledge was to really get past giving people everything. Because in the beginning, I would just give everybody everything all at once and nobody could retain it. And it was cool for the geeks, they wanted to learn, but it really didn't create advancement of people's practices. If you simplify it, and this is something you only learn as you go along, if you simplify what you're offering and you offer less, but you offer it more effectively, then the next time a student comes back, you can offer the next thing and offer that effectively, and then it builds on for them and it becomes a learning, growth, expansion cycle. Okay, so we have, when you submit, you're going to submit peak pose, target stretch, 5 to 7 layering postures. I felt it really necessary just to give you this visual structure, because usually when people first submit their sequences, they have got some other kind of layout. And what tends to happen for people is, and you can do this on your own worksheet, but when you submit, it looks like this, okay? But on your own worksheet, if you gotta do warm-up poses, Sunday standing poses, and you're doing all the postures, leave that out so that anybody can take this simple sequence and implement it into their style. So if you gave me all of your opening postures, your warm-up postures, then that leaves me no room for my personal creativity and my personal expression, which is what makes me unique and what makes me, let's say, authentic to how I teach yoga, is the different transitions I use and how I choose to warm students up, how I do sun salutations. That's what really makes me unique, and that's what makes you unique. So if you give me the entire sequence, then I'm only just copying you. Whereas if you provide this for me, then everyone in this community of chromatic yogis can take the sequence and implement it into their teaching style. And that's the beauty of this, and this is how we share it in the chromatic yoga community. Okay, so please pick your peak pose, 3 of them. So you're gonna do 3 different templates. So let's call this a template. You're gonna do 3 of these. We'll just do times 3. Okay, so this is our first task. We need to get this structure really integrated so that it's easy for you. I don't want you to have to be, right now, this is the time to practice and think and work hard to get really good target stretches for your layering postures. But for the next step, this structure needs to be second nature. Not only does it need to be second nature, but being able to create quickly, rapidly, a sequence template with 5 to 7 target stretch layering poses. It needs to be rapid because we are going to focus our creative energy and our time and our anatomical study on what's called the peak action and peak engagement, which we'll get to in the next videos. So try to become really proficient at this. If you need to make 10 sequences, 12 sequences, 15, 20 sequences in order to develop proficiency and feel really confident with all different peak poses, all different target stretch, then please be my guest. But the minimum is 3. And if you've done the 200-hour training with me, either in person or online, then 3 sequences that you've never done before, 3 peak postures or target stretches that you've never done before. And this should be fairly easy since you've already repeated it a number of times with me before. This is the same structure we'll use on the next step for Chromatic 1. So let's get it in. Look forward to seeing your sequences. Post your favorite one in the Facebook group so everybody has the option to use it. And this is how we share in the chromatic yoga community. This is how we become more resourceful with one another. And we can, instead of just having to always create for the rest of our lives, we can borrow from one another. And it becomes a really beautiful way of understanding how community can empower us to become stronger. Okay, so this way we can really utilize each other's creativity, find things that maybe we wouldn't have come up with before, and then that could also then fuel our next sequence. When we create, we think of ideas that somebody else came up with, and it's a nice big circle. It's like the circle of life, but with sequencing.
All right, time to get going on your sequences. On the board in the video, it said to submit it in a quiz. You don't have to do that. This is just for the 300-hour trainees that video is for. But you do need to make 3 sequences and make sure they are printed out and ready when you get here for the training. And also post your favorite one into the Facebook group. The link to the Facebook group is below, and you can join that Facebook group and then post what your favorite sequence is. That way everybody gets the benefit of seeing it, and also you get the benefit of seeing everybody else's. I look forward to seeing what you come up with. Good luck and enjoy.